Hello, and welcome to Tough Talk with me, Emerald. So, this week we have a special show. Um, I'm calling this Tough Talk episode 11 an ode to white women. We're going to talk about white women. We're going to dissect some things regarding white women, and it should be a good time all around. Let me give you a couple of disclaimers. So I want to give a disclaimer to the show, but I want to give a disclaimer to the disclaimer, okay? So first, the disclaimer to the disclaimer is I am really not here for white fragility. Like, if you're fragile and you can't handle some truths, then I don't know why you tune into this. You should, though, because you probably need to hear the truths. So I'm not really here for that. So this disclaimer that I'm going to give now is feeding into that idea and the idea of privilege. Like, I have to explain myself to you, my opinions to you before I give them, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, okay, here's a disclaimer to the show. Obviously, I do not feel that all white women embody some of the things that we're going to speak about today. Obviously, there are white women who are in my life whom I love and adore, who are my family whom I love and adore. So, if it's not about you, don't take it personally, right? Okay. Everything's up for discussion. So tonight I'm drinking anything pumpkin spiced, because it's an ode to white women, so why wouldn't I be? So this is a pumpkin spiced sangria, which is really not true. I'm really just drinking the Ford House sangria, but I thought, why not? Let's play the role, right? You all like my hair? Got a nice little fishtail braid for you. My ode to white women. Okay, so let's get into it. First, pouring the tea, eliminating other drinks. Let's give some good news. So, Lady Gaga is back. Officially released a single, I think it was last night, so Thursday night at like midnight, right? It's called Perfect Illusion. I've listened to it probably about 6 times today, and it's gonna grow on me, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, yes, Gaga immediately, but it's Gaga, and she's one of those women who I can rock with, right? Because she tries to stay true to who she is. She stands up for as many marginalized groups as possible. Lady Gaga is standing for the LGBTQIA community, obviously. She is standing for immigrant community. She is standing for Black Lives Matter group. Like, she is just standing for everybody. She is, standing for equal pay, equal rights, feminism, and gender equality. Like, she is just standing. So, I do love me some Gaga. I'm happy that she's back on the scene. Hopefully, Perfect Illusion gets some playing time, some airtime, and, her next album is Bomb.com, because we've been kind of waiting for Gaga. So, thanks, Gaga. Welcome back. Secondly, I don't know if y'all watch the Comedy Central roasts. Me and my husband like them because they're typically pretty funny, and they're not even really funny about the person they're roasting. It's usually the people on stage, like, making fun of one another. This week they did a roast of Rob Lowe, and Ann Coulter was there, and her ass got dragged. Now, if you don't know who Ann Coulter is, look her up. She's basically this right-wing nut job, and she is just the worst, like DAWURST, worst, like, for real. And they dragged her ass through the mud, and I was living for it, okay? I don't typically like jokes about people dying or killing themselves. Like, that's just not something that I get down with. But one person was like, "And you're like a hated, hatchet-faced bitch, but you could change. You could kill yourself." And I just was like, yep. Like, that's pretty much how most people feel about Ann Coulter. So, thanks, Comedy Central, for giving us that little bit of peace of mind, just seeing her being dragged. Everybody collectively on Twitter, Instagram, maybe we should just keep dragging her through the mud on a daily basis, because maybe that's what she needs to hear. That, like, if you're going to go out in public and spew bullshit, then we're going to treat you like the piece of shit that you are. Alright, so let's get into it. Top story this week is that of Lena Dunham and her insecurities regarding how Odell Beckham Jr. treated her at the Met Gala. So for those of you who don't know, the Met Gala is this event that happens every year. A bunch of rich people get together. There's a theme. It's supposed to be a fundraiser for the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Anna Wintour is like the chair, blah, 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 right? This year, apparently Lena Dunham, who was the creator of Girls and a comedian, she was in attendance, and Odell Beckham Jr., he is a professional footballer. I don't mean like soccer footballer. I mean like he plays American football. Black male, is known for his style, has had a couple of tiffs on the field, but you know, pretty cool. Known for hanging out at Drake's house for a couple of months, but cool guy, right? They were seated next to one another, and I guess he didn't talk to her. I'm not going to get into too many details about it, but essentially 6 months later, like half a year later, Lena Dunham does an interview with her homie, Amy Schumer, and she basically says, like, he didn't look her way, he didn't talk to her, and she was, you know, kind of projecting her insecurities on him about, you know, he must not have wanted to have sex with her, he must not have understood, like, she must not have been pretty enough, and yada yada. And then she went on to say that even though that happened, she continued to grind her ass on Michael B. Jordan for like the next 20 minutes, which, if you don't know who Michael B. Jordan is, African American male actor, again, look him up. So that's the story, okay? Odell Beckham Jr. did not respond. Lena Dunham got dragged on Twitter, as you can expect. At first, she kind of wrote it off as like her brand of humor, and then finally she issued your standard apology. She put there were some high notes in it, I'm not gonna lie. She spoke about the history of false accusations of black males, and particularly by white women, the history of that. So, you know, she hit on some points, but that's kind of the story. That's going to lead me into my social justice piece, okay? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about white feminism tonight, and I'm going to use 3 very famous white women to discuss white feminism. So, the first one is going to be Lena Dunham. Now, listen, I don't have a lot for her. I'm just not here for her, right? Like, I just don't have very many opinions of her. Like, it's like straight up apathy. Like, I just don't. I just can't, okay? I can't. But I will say, like, this story this week epitomizes this idea of entitlement when it comes to a lot of white women. So first, you get mad when somebody is looking at you or catcalls you. Like, that's sexist. That's misogynistic. And I'm not saying that it's not. But then when somebody doesn't look your way, you also drag them for that. Like, you get mad at them for not looking at you, for not sexualizing you, and you assume that because you are attracted to somebody that they're going to automatically be attracted to you, and that you get to put them on blast. Like, you get to talk about like what they were thinking. You have no idea what he was fucking thinking. He wanted to be on his phone. He had other things going on, and here you are making it look like he was ignoring you. He was living his goddamn black ass life. Okay? Like, cool it with the fucking entitlement. Everybody's not gonna look at you because you think you're funny, you think you're clever and witty, you think you're smart. People don't give a shit. People are living their own lives. He could have been tweeting about another black man getting shot in the street, and your ass is worried about whether or not he wants to fuck you. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? So, you know, that's what I have for you, Lena Dunham. So she epitomizes this idea of entitlement. I'm going to switch gears here because there's a second one, and I've talked about her on the show before. Miss Taylor Swift. Now, those of you who know me know that me and Taylor have a sordid history. I do wholeheartedly believe that she is the Antichrist. I'm going to say that directly into the camera. I wholeheartedly believe she is the Antichrist. Okay? She is the epitome of fake soapbox white feminism victimhood. Okay? So a couple things about Miss Swift. She uses her white womanhood to gain empathy, to gain the benefit of the doubt, and to gain victim status. Okay, we all know, we've all heard the stories, we've all read the stories, we've all seen all of the things, right? So she is known for writing songs about ex-boyfriends and about ex-boyfriends, new girlfriends, and about ex-friends, and everybody says, oh, you know, it's art, it's genius, she wins 100,000 awards, and like, that's wonderful. But let somebody, i.e. a particular black man that I'm sure we all know who I'm speaking of, decide that he wants to write a song calling her out, and it's character assassination. And now she's the victim. Like, how could somebody do that to her? How could somebody assassinate her character in that way? Bitch, you've been talking about people since the dawn of fucking time. That's what you do. You put yourself into situations so that you can later talk about somebody. So when the tables have turned and somebody's talking about you, you want to get mad. And then this idea that you have this squad, this very prestigious, elite, non-inclusive squad, might I add, because if you're not thin, white, and happy, you can't be a part of the goddamn squad. Like, let's be real, okay? You barricade yourself behind this squad of feminism and standing up for one another. Like, I don't want to hear that bullshit while you're continuously trying to play the victim. And then your feminism definitely doesn't include women of color, because there are times when women of color are speaking out against misogynoir, which is not just misogyny, okay? That's also misogyny against people of color, because it looks a little bit different, whether you want to believe it or not. You want to change the narrative. So, for instance, a couple years ago when all that bullshit happened with Nicki Minaj and she was talking about, you know, this video, you know, if I looked a different way, you know, things would have been received differently. And Taylor Swift jumps her ass in and says, oh, maybe one of the men took your award. No, bitch, we're not, this isn't about that. This is about the fact that there is clearly a divide in representation when it comes to persons of color. So you're really good at changing the narrative from race to gender to avoid the race conversation. And for people like me, for people like Miss Minaj, for people like Beyonce, your old homegirl Zendaya who done jumped ship, we cannot separate those things. We can't separate the fact that we are female and that we are black. And if you really want to say that you're a feminist, that you're standing up for equal rights, then you're going to have to start to include everybody in that narrative. Otherwise, like, miss me with that shit. And then some people want to say, oh, well, you know, it's just a celebrity world. Like, who gives a shit about Taylor Swift? If you want to know one of the reasons why I harp on her so much, a lot of people know there are other reasons. But one of the reasons that really gets me is that you have, like, these young white girls who are really listening to her, really listening to what she's saying. And they're going to grow up and they're going to be in the world, right? She's putting herself out there as this white woman in distress. She's building up people, but in particular I'm thinking about Kanye West, this black male villain, and she's perpetuating these stereotypes that have existed for forever, since the original movie Birth of a Nation. That's not okay. She's perpetuating this idea that you have to be the sweet girl wearing the glasses, wearing the tennis shoes, and any girl who comes along and steals your boyfriend is a slut. Like, that's not okay. That's not feminism. And it's just setting up a generation. It's setting them up just to be really fucking awful people. And so I think she's the Antichrist. I'll stop there with her. So, Lena Dunham, entitlement. Taylor Swift, victimhood. And then Amy Schumer. I wasn't talking about Amy Schumer too much because I don't really care that much about her either. But a friend of mine kind of asked me my opinion about her. So I'm going to give it. I think for me, Amy Schumer represents this idea of white feminism that has a blind spot. It's a blind spot when it comes, again, to women of color. She was quoted at one point saying, people always think that because I'm a white woman, I don't deal with race. And I don't. Like, that was her quote. She straight up said it. She didn't have to deal with it. She knows she doesn't have to deal with it. And she has been known to, you know, make some comments and then brush it off as, oh, this is just a joke. This is just a joke. You know, like, it's funny, people laugh. First of all, white people laugh. If people of color laugh, it's because we're uncomfortable with the fact that you think it's okay to say those things. Like, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. And then saying something is a joke really dismisses like the social and historical and racial implications of that thing and of racial comedy that's gone on in this country. She made a joke about Hispanic men at one point. She said, you know, I used to date Hispanic men, but then I started wanting consensual, meaning consensual sex, meaning that when she was dating Hispanic men, that she was not having consensual sex, she was being raped. You know who else said that some Hispanic men rape people? Donald Trump said that. Like, that doesn't seem funny to me. Like, who would think that that was funny? And we can all say, oh, there are different jokes, and like, Emerald, you're making a joke right now, like pumpkin spice lattes, and like, your hair in a fishtail braid, and you know, white people don't season their chicken, or whatever bullshit. But like, those jokes don't get you killed, right? Like, you drinking a pumpkin spice latte is not going to get you killed. You know what will get somebody killed, though? Saying that a white woman was forced into having non-consensual sex by a man of color. You want to know an example of that? Look up Emmett Till. See what they did to a 14-year-old boy because a white woman said that he whistled at her. That shit will get us killed in these streets. So while you are making jokes and having punchlines, like my life is not a fucking punchline. Don't have that blind spot. Don't make those jokes. And while I completely applaud and commend you for shining light on rape culture and misogyny, you are still using your stage and profiting off of racial insensitive jokes. While you have families of color who are burying their dead, while black churches are burning, while our kids are being slaughtered on playgrounds. And so, again, my life, our lives are not punchlines to be made. If you want to stand up and say you are a feminist, then you need to remember that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. MLK said it, and I will say it every time. Because you cannot say, oh, I'm fighting for this particular thing, and not be fighting for all things. Yeah, we can all work together and we're all going to have our specialties. But you know, I just spoke, earlier in the show, I spoke about Gaga. Gaga asked, get up there. She speaks out hashtag Black Lives Matter. She is all over the LGBTQIA community. She is all about, you know, immigration reform and making sure that looks fair and reasonable for people. Like, it doesn't mean, but we know her mostly as somebody who speaks out against for the LGBTQIA community. That's fine. She has a specialty. But she has made known her views on all of these things. And I commend her for that. I really do, because she realizes that injustice is injustice no matter where it is. And it's not a fucking laughing matter. And you know what else, Amy Schumer? Well, I'm on your ass. Somebody called you out talking about how black men are often accused more of misogyny than other men, even though, what, 65% of reported rapes on college campuses are committed by white males? And you responded to their tweet by saying that how do they know statistically who you're being catcalled more by? Meaning, you're saying you're being catcalled more by men of color. Like, again, perpetuate this idea that men of color are some sexually, you know, wild, untamed beast that can't be controlled. Like, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. And I'm not going to tell y'all to not, you know, have your heroes, but just remember this. This is my final thought, because I'm a little pissed off now. Now that I think about it. This is my final thought. When your heroes and the people that you look up to, when they don't speak out and up against injustice, and my life and the life of my husband and the life of my kids are still up for negotiation in this country, like, yeah, I take that very personally. When I'm seeing 12-year-old kids gunned down in the playgrounds, when I'm seeing black parishioners gunned down during prayer meetings because of the bullshit-ass jokes that white America let slide, Because, oh, it's in the name, you know, she's a feminist. Those things are mutually exclusive. That shit is personal. My life is on the line. So, yeah, that is a personal attack on me. That's a personal attack on just about every goddamn body I love. And so, yeah, y'all need to start holding your heroes a little bit more accountable. Because, look, even now our athletes are starting to take a stand or a knee or whatever. You know? Even our athletes are starting to do it because people are starting to see that it's a problem. So stop it with this fake, bullshit ass social justice commentary, talking about you're a feminist, talking about women gotta stand up for one another, when Amy Schumer, Lena Dunham, Taylor Swift, and whoever the fuck else is out there that looks up to them as role models, y'all don't give a damn about my black ass female life. Like, let's be real about it, okay? I'm done. Shit. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen next week, but I'm about to finish this motherfucking pumpkin spice latte. I'm about to flip this hair on y'all niggas, and I'm out, so keep sipping.